We had success with the elementary schools.
The focus in terms of the new system, seemed to be that you'd sort of done a reversal from against standardized tests to figuring out a way to help poor kids, poor black kids, to pass.
Yeah, but I didn't know that when I was in D.C. I learned that in Pittsburgh.
You learned what in Pittsburgh?
That you can overcome the cultural obstacles in a standardized test.
How did you, was that simply through the research that you were doing all those years?
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. You find out, I learned this from Louis Vincent and Doris Brevard. Doris Brevard was the principal at Robert Lee Vann Elementary School in Pittsburgh, and Louis Vincent was the principal of the Beltouver. These were the two highest achieving of the three schools that I studied. This is what they did. They determined what did you need to know to learn how to read. And they taught these children how to read as fast as they could. So most of their children knew how to read by the time they left first grade. That's a tremendous asset. Because what does that mean? They're not behind. It means they're not behind. So I think Mrs. Brevard had something like 91% of her children reading at grade level in grade 2. Hello. So my thing was, okay, how you do this? And what I found out was you take as much time as you need to do it. So those kids didn't have music, didn't have art, didn't have physical ed. Teaching them reading all day long till you learn how to read. This is illegal. Oh, you hear me? This is illegal.
Explain when you say this is illegal. What do you mean?
I mean, the state says you're supposed to teach these little cookies these
different subjects. So how do you get around the fact that it's illegal?
They just did it. They just did it. But what I'm telling you is, I didn't know that in the District of Columbia, that you could create, you could eliminate these cultural deficits that the tests put up as obstacles if you had more time. Because the school doesn't give you more time. You get the same amount of time to teach a kid from a different culture how to read English, standard English, as you do a kid who already comes from home knowing it. You get the same amount of time, the same, which doesn't fit. That's where the misfit is. You see where I was mixed up? The bias is not in the test, the bias is in the teaching.
And that's what your research showed you.
Right.
In Pittsburgh.
That's correct.
And you brought that knowledge and those changes here to Chicago.
Yeah, but I couldn't make them change what they were doing. You know, I couldn't make them change, so my principals who were successful, they did the same thing these principals did. They just skirted the rules.